And we're here on Bruins Rinkside, Saturday morning. I take it you probably didn't expect this to be the news you got on Saturday morning. Bruins game at 12. And now TUUKKA RASK has opted out of the Bruins and the NHL's return to play format. I'm here with my good friend Connor Ryan at Boston Sports Journal. Usually we're doing Bruins beat, but we're here today doing a nice video for you on Bruins Rinkside. Connor, just your reaction to all of this.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, state the obvious. It came out of nowhere in terms of just what we were expecting. I mean, you saw what Rask's comments were after that game too, and they're a little bit concerning. But you figured, I think a lot of people viewed it as, all right, TUUKKA's always a pretty candid guy. Like, he was just kind of, a lot of stuff he can say can either get misconstrued or just how he's kind of a straight shooter. And then all of a sudden we get this news at I think like 10:30, less than 2 hours.
10:30 a.m. baby.
Yeah, less than 2 hours ahead of puck drop. So, I mean, you listen to what Don Sweeney said, and it seems like from the Bruins' perspective of the organization, it really wasn't much of a surprise. It's obviously something he's been dealing with, and obviously it's a tough situation for any of these guys, especially a guy like TUUKKA, who's obviously got 3 young kids, a newborn. So it's a situation where he felt he had to be in a different place at this moment in time. But I mean, from the Bruins' perspective, not only is it a quick turnaround in terms of like, all right, Yaroslav Halak, you haven't played since that round robin game. Here you go. You're going to be the guy, ideally for them, leading them through this playoff run now. I mean, it's a tough break for the Bruins, but if there's a team that's equipped to handle something like this, it'd probably be them, just in terms of what a guy like Halak brings them in terms of his standing as, you could probably make the case, the best backup goalie if you want to refer to him as that.
This is why they got Halak. I mean, essentially, this is why. I mean, if you had to start an emergency scenario. Now, I don't think they ever envisioned this to be the emergency scenario where TUUKKA basically just completely steps away from the team in the midst of a playoff run. Now the question, I feel like, is what's his future with the team? I know, Sweeney said that, he's a future goalie going forward next year or whatever. But I do wonder what this says to his teammates, because obviously, yes, family comes first, mental health, all that stuff is extremely important. But in the midst of a postseason run, everyone's going through this. I do wonder if his teammates take to this the way that Sweeney has seemed to take to this. I mean, this is basically your goalie bailing on you in the midst of the first round of trying to get a revenge year at the Stanley Cup. Connor, I'm wondering what you sort of think the teammates will think of this.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to get much from them in terms of, beyond the usual, we support his decision. But I mean, it's a tough break for them, and just in terms of, you look at obviously the optics of it are not good, right? Like, and again, he's entitled to do what he wants, and he's putting his family first. But ideally, you would, if he was having reservations, which seems like he was doing anyway, but if you're going to, make the move to leave the bubble, you'd ideally want it to be before a playoff start, not, a few hours ahead of puck drop for game 3, tied 1-1 in the series. So, it's definitely going to be tough to see how, I think, the teammates are going to have his back, but in terms of moving forward, like, regardless of what happens this year, I mean, that's a lot to process. Like, you got 2 different scenarios, that you're going to have to deal with going forward. Either the Bruins come up short in this kind of revenge year they had, and I mean, all things considered, probably like the absence of Rask is going to play a part in that, right? I mean, there's no doubting that. Or you have the other scenario in which they rally behind Yaroslav Halak and win a Stanley Cup without TUUKKA RASK. Like, those are the 2 different scenarios you have, both of which, when you look at Rask's future going forward, there's a lot to process with all of this.
Here's the thing. This does impact his legacy. I know we don't want to say it quite yet, but I do believe it does. I mean, again, as you said, the Bruins are out. If they're out in the first or second round or whatever, you can guarantee there's going to be a game or 2 where Halak lets in some softies, and you're going to say, well, Rask would have had that one. And it, if they're out early, it's probably got to do a lot with TUUKKA. Also, David Pastrnak, which is a whole different scenario. Everything's just burning down to the ground right now in Bruins land.
We have lineups just like rolling through. It's just like, this is not. I was going to go to Duncan and have a nice, ease my way into this, have a nice relaxing, lead up to this nice matinee game. No, not the case. Especially
not today.
We should have known better in this year.
I was still in bed just on my phone. All of a sudden, I'm like, what? Yeah. I was just absolutely floored by it. But we will have all of your coverage at CLNS Media. Connor will obviously have it all at Boston Sports Journal. There is a lot to unpack from this, and we will both have all this unpacked for you. For CLNS Media, I'm Evan Marinovsky from Boston Sports Journal. That's Connor Ryan. Have a nice day.